There are 4 elements that all of us must inculcate in our personality. We should build them up, nurture them, because this will help us to stride like a Colossus through life. In fact, they are the 4 C's. The first C is courage, the second is conviction, the third is communication, and when you have these 3 C's nurtured in your system, the fourth one, which is confidence, automatically kicks in, and it is this confidence that will help you to join the movers and shakers of this world. I'm going to share with you 3 stories. They are very popular stories. You might have heard them earlier, but these 3 stories define the first 3 C's. So let's start with the first C, courage. This is the story of William Tell. William Tell was one of the greatest hunters of Switzerland, and he was considered the best shot with the bow and arrow in Switzerland. At that time, Switzerland was ruled by a tyrant called Gessler, and Gessler demanded that anybody who passed him should stop and bow before him. But then William Tell had a very strong spine. He was a person with a backbone. He would not bend, he would not oblige. This irked Gessler a lot. So he had William Tell and his son summoned to the town square one day, and he ordered that William Tell should shoot an arrow onto the apple which would be placed on his son's head. William Tell was aghast. He begged Gessler not to put him through this test of strength, of his skills. He wanted him not to do this because what if his hand should shake? What if the boy should move? What if a gust of wind blew the arrow off the mark? But then Gessler wouldn't budge. He threatened to have them thrown into the gallows if William Tell did not take this test. Just then, William Tell's son approached his father and told him, "Father, I have confidence in you. I know you can do it." And he took the apple, placed it on his head, and walked up to the center of the square. William Tell took aim and shot the arrow, and it flew right into the apple. And everybody who saw this cheered. And the story goes that the people of Switzerland were so inspired by this act that they revolted against Gessler and overthrew him. This is the story of courage, the courage of William Tell and his son. The next story is about conviction. It's about a little boy who wanted to meet God. He knew God lived a far, far place away from his home, so he knew it was going to be a long journey. So he packed his backpack with a couple of cartons of juice, a couple of apples, a few slabs of chocolate, and he set off. Half a kilometer from his home, he was feeling a little tired. He came across a park with a bench. So he sat down on the bench beside an old woman who was already there gazing at some pigeons. The little boy felt a little thirsty, so he took out a carton of juice, and just when he was going to have it, he saw that the old lady seemed very hungry. So he took out a slab of chocolate and offered it to her. She gratefully accepted and gave him such a radiant smile that he was exhilarated. He wanted to see the smile again. So after a few moments, he offered her an apple. That drew from her an even more beatific smile. So whole afternoon, they just sat, enjoying each other's company, eating, drinking, smiling at each other, and not saying a word. And finally, it was time for the little boy to go home. He took his backpack, and just as he was about to leave, he gave the old woman a hug, and this drew the widest smile yet from her. The exuberant boy ran home and told his mom, "Mother, I met God. I had lunch with God today." And before his mother could respond, he added, "She has the most beautiful smile in the world." In the meanwhile, the old woman also had reached home, and she told her son, "You know what? I had chocolates with God in the park today." And before he could respond, she added, and he's much younger than I had expected. This is a story of conviction. Conviction is nothing but a combo. It's a combo of faith, trust, and hope. Faith in what you believe, whatever you believe. Secondly, it is trust in human beings. And finally, it is hope in your heart. And these three things will help you reach your dreams. This gives you the conviction to reach your dreams. So we come to the final story on communication. Again, about a little boy who loved to play around an apple tree. He loved to run around the apple tree, liked to climb its branches, pluck those apples, eat them. He loved the tree and the tree loved him back. They communicated to each other in their own way. Then there was a long absence. The boy came back a little more grown up, and he told the tree, listen, I have grown up. I don't think I'm a small kid to run around you anymore. What I need now are toys, and I don't have the money to buy them. The apple tree said, even I don't have the money, but you can pluck my apples, go sell them, make the money and buy your toys. The joyful boy did just that. This continued. He kept coming back every now and then, making new demands on the tree. As a youth, he came back and took up the offer of the tree to cut its branches and make himself a home, a house. Then he came back a little later to cut its main trunk to make himself a fishing boat. Then finally he came back as an old man to rest his tired back on the roots of an even older tree. Now I think you know where the story is going. The apple tree is like our parents. As children, as small kids, we love to play with them. Then we sprout wings, we fly away, only to return every now and then to make new demands when we have a need. You might think that little boy was very cruel to the apple tree, but that's not correct, because every one of us is like that. That's life. What is very important to remember is whatever your relationship and whoever it is, always keep the communication channel open. As human beings, we are social animals, and it's vital to communicate because that's a very, very important lubricant in our life. And once you have this courage, this conviction, and this communication in place, confidence automatically kicks in and you can move the world. Goodbye.